Today, we're diving into more than 1,000 years of Roman history to answer a huge question. How did the Roman Republic, this powerhouse of the ancient world, completely collapse and give way to the empire? Alright, so let's get right into it. This quote on the slide is pretty revealing, isn't it? Even the ancient Roman historians basically admitted, hey, we made some stuff up. They were trying to create this perfect, glorious origin story. Our job today is to peel back that myth and look at the actual political machine underneath, how it really worked, and more importantly, why it totally broke down. So first things first, what was this republic? Really? I mean, it was a system designed for a tiny city-state, but somehow it had this winning formula that was just shockingly effective. At its core, it was all about this idea of shared power. You've probably seen the acronym SPQR everywhere. It stands for the Senate and People of Rome. Now, don't get me, I'm not going to get you wrong. This wasn't a democracy like we think of it today. It was really an aristocratic republic, mostly run by the Senate and these two elected top dogs, called consuls. This slide really breaks down the engine of its success. I mean, think about it. It was powered by a citizen army. And get this, you couldn't even run for public office until you'd served 10 campaigns. So your leaders were experienced soldiers. Then they had this super clever system of alliances, the societies, where they turned their old enemies into a new source of military power. Throw in some strategic colonization to handle overpopulation, and bam, that's the recipe that let one city conquer the entire Italian peninsula. But here's the kicker, the real tragic flaw in this whole story. The Republic's own success became its biggest enemy. The very system that was built for a small city-state just started to crack and buckle under the weight of managing a massive global territory. And this slide, wow, it just lays it all out. The ideal versus the cold, hard reality. The whole system was built on the citizen farmer-soldier, right? Well, that ideal got replaced by massive slave plantations. The power of the Senate, yeah, that got completely overshadowed by these incredibly powerful, incredibly wealthy generals, and the people of Rome. They weren't united citizens anymore. They became this huge landless mob crammed into the city, totally dependent on the government for handouts. So what kicked this all into high gear? A huge catalyst was the Second Punic War against Hannibal. I mean, just look at that number, 400. 400 communities in southern Italy were just wiped off the map. This devastation basically cleared the way for the Superhic to swoop in, buy up all this land for cheap, and push all those small farmers off their property and right into the city. Here's the really crucial part, the thing you have to understand. The ruling class, the senators themselves, had a direct financial stake in making this crisis worse. See, they were forbidden from getting into commerce. So where did they put their money? Italian land. They were the ones building these huge estates, getting richer and richer off the very system that was gutting the republic from the inside out. So with the whole system weakened and creaking at the seams, you had these powerful men who saw their chance. The republic didn't just fade away gracefully. Oh no, it tore itself to pieces in a brutal century-long civil war. And this timeline, it just shows you how utterly chaotic things go. It was just one civil war after another. You had generals like Marius, Sulla, Pompey, and of course, Caesar. And they weren't using their armies to defend Rome anymore. They were using them to seize control of Rome. The state itself had become the battlefield. And the violence was, well, it was systemic. It was cold. Sulla's prescriptions weren't just a bunch of murders. This was a state-sanctioned political purge. They would literally post lists of names in public. And if you were on the list, anyone could kill you for a reward. Your property was confiscated. Your family was ruined. It had set this absolutely terrifying new precedent in Roman politics. Okay, so after decades and decades of this chaos, one man finally came out on top. Caesar's adopted son, Octavian, he's the one who would become Augustus, the very first Roman emperor. And his solution to all this bloodshed, well, it was nothing short of a political masterstroke. See, Augustus was way too smart to just march in and declare himself king. That would have gotten him killed, just like Caesar. So instead, he created what we call the Midway. This slide shows the absolute genius of it. On the surface, it looked like the old republic was back. The Senate still passed laws. Consuls were still elected. But behind the curtain, that's where the real power was. The emperor proposed the laws. He was the permanent commander of the army, and he controlled the money and the food. He restored the republic. But really, it was a monarchy hiding in plain sight. This one moment in 27 BC was the foundation for the whole new system. It was pure political theater, and it was brilliant. He stands before the Senate and formally gives back all his power to them and the Roman people. And what do? They're so grateful, they give it right back to him, along with the new title, Augustus, the revered one. By giving power away, he made sure he could keep it forever, legally, and with the people's blessing. Now, this imperial fix of his actually worked pretty well for over 200 years. But the pressure of running a gigantic empire never really went away. So let's fast forward a bit to the late Empire, where the system had to change again. evolving into something way more rigid, way more absolute, to deal with constant invasions and economic crises. Emperors like Diocletian basically put the whole society into lockdown. This wasn't a hidden monarchy anymore. This was a full-blown autocracy. The emperor was officially called Lord and God. Look at this. Society was frozen into a caste system. If your dad was a tenant farmer, you were a tenant farmer, legally tied to the land. If your dad was a soldier, guess what? You were a soldier. Your job was determined by your birth, all just to keep the imperial machine from collapsing. So that's the bottom line right there. The old Roman ideal, the idea of individual initiative, of a citizen being able to shape their own destiny, that was completely sacrificed for the sake of state stability. Your life was no longer about your choices, it was about the box you were born into. But in the end, even this incredibly rigid autocratic machine couldn't hold forever. The Western Empire eventually fell to Germanic invasions in the 5th century. But the story of this transformation, how Rome changed itself so fundamentally, that leaves us with a really profound legacy. And that brings us to our final big question. Was the empire a necessary evil? Was it the only solution to the Republic's fatal flaws? Or was it the Republic's ultimate failure? Was the stability of the empire, the famous Pax Romana, worth the price of freedom? It's a question historians still argue about, and it really gets at that timeless tension between liberty and order.